Today's youth need teachers, volunteers, and most of all, well, they need you. I'm Doug Edwards, and I'm going to be talking with real youth mentors and students to give you the knowledge you need to be the best youth worker possible. This is Youth Worker on Fire. Hey, Youth Worker Nation, this is Doug Edwards with Youth Worker on Fire again, and we are here at Podfest in Orlando, but I got the Atlanta connection. So well, I'm thrilled about these three ladies and that are with their podcast is Clean Ear Show, and we're going to talk music because I love music. Music world was where I was before I was in youth work. I did that since I was 9. Never saw youth work coming, and but ended up in student ministries for 37 years now. But you ladies are trying to keep it clean for people's ears, and we're going to talk about what you do. So tell me why you started this show, this podcast, and what your purpose is. And give us a little bit about your personal life. All right, Simone's going first.
All right, well, I am Simone. Happy to be here. Our show is, we talk about godly living with a Christian hip-hop soundtrack. And we started this because when we wanted to clean up our music, we were getting recommendations, but they didn't really seem to cover a lot of what hip-hop truly encompasses. And so we wanted to find music that sounded like what was on the radio, like what we were already listening to, but that glorified God. And so there wasn't really a place that we could go to find it. So we would go into the deepest of Googles to find this music. And as we found it and listened to stuff, we found that this is nice. And so we wanted to share it with people so that they wouldn't have to go through the lengths that we had to find it.
So now you're the source. You're the source. You're the resource.
Yes.
Right?
That's right.
Okay, and that's huge in student ministry world because we're always looking for sources to find what we need to find for whatever group of students. And so what did you find with all that?
We found a lot of really great artists like Swoop and Kristen Gray, and in addition to Lecrae, everybody knows him.
Yeah.
And so many more. The thing is, hip hop is so multifaceted, and it's not just one particular sound or kind of sound, which is, again, what was in the recommendations that we got. And so to make it easy for our listeners, we compiled Spotify playlists with every episode so people can follow us on Spotify.
Oh, wow.
Yes, at clean_ears_podcast. And they can access the playlist for every single show and sometimes bonus playlists that we do just for fun.
Yeah. And you're doing YouTube as well because you guys are, Courtney, you're doing the video. Courtney, who are you to these?
So I rarely speak on the podcast. I am the background, behind the scenes person. I'm making sure that everything is together, everything's on time, we have everything we need. I'm just a jack of all trades, I guess.
Okay, well, we're going to Seretha in a minute, but I want you to tell us a little more because what if one of our guys or ladies wants to start a podcast, but they need somebody like you? How do they find somebody like you?
I feel like they could be somebody like me. It's a lot of work, but if you have the passion for it, that's all you need is that drive because we started with the bare minimum. We had our camera phones and we had a MacBook and we just started.
Wait a minute. I'm a Mac guy. You didn't need any more than that. What are you talking about? Nobody needs any more than that now.
Well,
you need those two things. That's it.
Yes.
Along with a microphone.
Well, that was the thing. We didn't have microphones when we started. We literally just built and just started from scratch. And if that's something that you want to do, I wouldn't wait until you have all the gear and all the equipment. Really just start now, build your brand, and everything else will follow.
Yeah, and that's good. And that's one thing a podcast where we're learning. I was an audio guy, video guy, still am. But I started off with not the best because there's some stories I wanted. I didn't have the equipment at that time, and I went, boom, let's start doing this.
Yep.
And then we've progressed. And so give me a couple of recommendations. You actually gave me two. You started off with your iPhones or your phones and your Mac.
Yes.
And downloaded from there, from your video to that. Now tell me about the microphone that you went to when you went to Mike's.
She's gonna... that's our girl for that. Right
Okay, Simone, go for it.
Looks like we're back to me. I don't remember the exact name of our microphone, like the full name. Everybody calls out a series of letters and numbers, and I cannot pretend to know those.
That's okay.
But we actually just went on Amazon and looked around, and based on the reviews and our budget, then we picked something that worked for us because we knew that as long as podcasters were saying that they got good sound, that was sufficient in terms of our criteria.
Yeah.
And then we knew that from there we could just continue to grow. If those mics didn't grow out, or as we continue to grow and we had the money, then we could just upgrade.
Yeah. And that's true. That is what you do. It is about what it sounds like, not what the brand name says.
Exactly.
And I got to talk to her, Seretha, a little bit about her background in music. About church choir, though, is that where some of your microphone understanding came from? That's you then. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, Seretha, go for it. Tell me a little bit about church background and church choirs and microphones and stuff. Talk to me.
I was born and raised in the church. I sang in the church choir. We had the mics that actually came down from the ceiling. I don't know how those picked up any type of sound, but they were there.
They were never that good.
They were never that good. We were singing out, not up. I had no idea how they were doing anything.
Exactly.
But we did use a mic very similar to the mic that you are using for every single solo. Yes, everybody had a mic like that or a mic like this.
Sennheiser, you got the Sennheiser, that's right.
Exactly. And so you just learned how to speak close to the mic, get far from the mic, not put your mouth on the mic.
Yeah.
You know how to figure out how to make your own sound just from hearing it from the speakers and learning how to hear from those bottom speakers as well. Like we didn't have inner ears when you were younger, so you just had to figure out how to get the sound that you needed in order to make sure you weren't pitchy. A lot of times I'm not listening to us as we're recording. I self-modulate, and so I just hear myself.
Yeah. So you, okay. I like that. You're not pitchy. That means you understand there are different pitch levels and in tune and out of tune. Wow. How novel. Especially in music world, right?
Yeah.
I bet you in your research, by the way, you ladies have found that there are some bands that are really good and some that are really bad.
Yes, we have.
And so have you distinguished that, and have you separated that from your people?
Well, we try to be very aware that everything that we put on our playlist is us saying that we co-sign either this artist or this song, or if you listen to more from them, we think this is also great. And so we've actually had maybe people come up to us and say, maybe would you feature us? And if we listen and we don't like it, we're not going to feature it because that's going to be our co-sign. Even when we were starting, we had no one but ourselves thought of ourselves as experts. We were like, I'm very much aware of, we want to be the expert. We want to be the person people come to about music. And so we're not going to co-sign something just because we want to get our name out there.
You got to be trusted.
Very much so.
Absolutely.
So we have to like it. We value production quality. We value good sound. We value being able to understand the words. We value having a great message, and then having a album that is full of great messages and not just one song. You know, we like looking into your background. We like if you tour, we talk about those things. Like we'll say this person hasn't been out in the East Coast in forever. Hey, that'd be great if they came out here. We'll definitely let you know if they do. We're straight up on all of their media.
We know in podcast world that's what you have to do.
You do.
My son's an artist. He's done some stuff LA and Nashville. Fortunately, he's had the same producer. You're not going to be interested in him because he's not hip hop. So, talk about your best bands. And by the way, give me some of those bands that you want people to know that you believe do not have enough recognition. Talk about the ones that do have recognition that are fabulous too, because who we know are famous are still not famous to some people.
That's true.
So talk to me.
Propaganda is a great artist. King's Kaleidoscope is a great band.
Wow.
That is, I don't know if they're going to continue on for a while. I feel like it's very mixed messages coming from their camp about if they're going to do another album after this. But right now they are on tour, so you definitely want to check out King's Kaleidoscope and Propaganda. They're together. I am such a big fan of both of them. It's just amazing to me how great music come out of them, and they're still not as well known as some of the bigger names out there. I feel like they should be up there with all of the other big bands that people know, especially even not even just Christian hip hop or in a Christian world. I feel like they should be known worldwide.
Worldwide, no matter what. Yeah,
Yes.
and you know what? Great music is great music. Christian world is not accepting of people who are in Christian music that do secular stuff. But they are, and I'm going to tell you what you already know, they are accepting of people who are in the secular music world that come back the other way. Isn't that crazy?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's always interesting because when secular artists make spiritual references or refer to God or Jesus, and people are like, oh, yes, they're Christians.
They're heroes.
Exactly. And it's like, oh my goodness, this really cool person actually knows God and this is fantastic. But then when we have someone who knows Jesus and that's their platform, but they work with a secular artist, and it's like, oh, well, what is that about? What kind of message are they sending?
Oh, they must be messing
sending to
up.
their fans? You know, these are mixed messages. And so it's interesting that we allow a little taste of Jesus from one side and they're accepted, and somebody reaches out to someone in the world, which is what Jesus would do, and people say, oh no, not at all. You don't get an opportunity to share your story on our platform and with our churchy people. And I just think that that's really unfair. And yeah, I think it's unfair, and I think it causes us to look at secular artists who never desired the kind of platform that Christian artists have, so they don't necessarily agree with the kind of responsibility that Christian artists, some of them agree to when they decide to do what they do.
Yeah.
When we try to hold them to that same standard based on a reference or a lyric, blame it on Jesus, #blessed, and people are like, oh my goodness, Bruno, are you the second? Are you next? And it's like, no, he didn't sign up for that life. So be mindful that you're not looking to him to be an example of, oh, well, if he said this, but he lives like this, it's okay. And so I think that we just have to be mindful that we're not allowing that thought process to take us to that place.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to remember that Jesus connected with everybody.
And he was highly criticized for it.
Exactly. And so I think that, we should cut them some slack, Christian artists, when they work with secular artists, and try to gain a little bit more understanding of what's going on and use it as an opportunity to get a peek into someone else's story, as opposed to looking at it like, oh, well, Tasha, if you're going to be doing songs with Nicki, we're not interested. If you're going to be bringing Nicki Minaj on your music. I think we just have to be mindful how we treat that to ensure that younger believers who are still impressionable are not getting the wrong idea of who to look up to. Because Seretha, in all her wisdom, said something recently on our show that resonated with me. She said, we're very worship driven as people. And so we just have to be mindful that, one, we're aware of that, and that we give worship to where it's to go and not to people, but that we're also not elevating people who are on a completely different platform.
Those are very wise words, because you have worked in these areas and you've obtained that wisdom. Everybody doesn't think that way. But that's why we podcast, right?
Absolutely.
To try to educate, try to get them to understand certain things and look at things from different viewpoints that Jesus would look for. We're not trying to counteract Jesus. We're trying to proactivate us to think like Jesus and not like churchyism.
Yes.
Churches are great, but churchyism is different. Tell me what else that we need to know that we don't know about looking for these artists, or about some of these artists in the world. What do you know that we don't know?
I think that what we know is that they still need our financial support. I think a lot of times when we're doing this, people are like, oh, look at you serving in the world. We're like, no, this is what we call a job. Right. Jobs need money. Bills still exist. And so for these artists, we would treat them the way we would any other indie artist. A lot of times we're okay to go to a local little such and such and watch this band that we don't know, or this singer that we don't know. We have to kind of give that same treatment to indie Christian artists. They have families to feed too. So when they, it's not just about listening to the music, but and streaming it. It's about making sure that we put that in the budget. It's about making sure that we go to the shows and support them and make sure that they're getting our money, because the thing is, they need that. This is their job. And if we're enjoying what they do, we want to make sure that we're supporting what they're doing so that they can continue to do that.
Yeah. Seretha, go ahead.
I think what we don't know, I think what a lot of people don't know is that this is how you connect with the younger generation. This is what they're listening to or what they could be listening to. You could be, especially if we're talking to youth pastors, you could be that could be something you connect with them with. If they are active in the Christian community, they are listening to a lot of these younger people. Ask them about a 1K few. It sounds like I just sneezed or something. That is a person and he is talking to your kids and he is a Christian artist. Ask them about D1. He's talking about getting debt free. This is a man who is actually preaching, like not just preaching, he's speaking, he's doing his work as an artist, and he's talking about being debt free and how to be a good steward over your money. And you can actually tie that back into the word. Don't be so caught up in what you feel should be how every kid should act when they are in a Christian setting. Like a lot of the kids want to have fun, and this is how you can have fun and still keep it clean, is to get invested in the music of this generation. This is what they're definitely listening to. If I've been to these concerts, they are all young children.
Yeah. Isn't that something? Yeah, we're talking about older artists anywhere from, let's say, 15 to 30, 35 years of age.
Yeah.
Maybe older.
We've seen, right. And that's what's beautiful is that you see parents with their kids and everybody knows the words because you can have that moment. And there's not music like that anymore where we can just all sit back and sing along to the same song. A lot of times parents are just waiting for that moment where they have to change the station because this got a little bit too explicit. I mean, there's a lot of times when parents are like, I wish my kids didn't hear that, or I wish they didn't know that. But this is something that they can take to their school and go, no, this is cool. And they don't have to be like, well, it's cool for Christian. No, this is cool, period. Like, it's been elevated since it did when I was younger.
Go ahead, Simone. Keep
I
going.
think another thing for the youth that they need to know is that rap is something that you can do for Jesus. I think that there are still a lot of creative careers that people think that, well, if I want to go into this, I have to do it the world's way. There's no place for me to do that and still be a person of faith. And I think that when we showcase these artists, we're letting people know, like, hey, you can be a man of God and rap. You can be a woman of God and rap if that's what you feel led to do. So I think it's also important to showcase that career possibility for people who want it, to know that, hey, there is a lane here.
And let me tell you this too. My son's in the music world. I was in the music world. My dad was a builder, but he loved whatever his kids were doing. And instead of going, you got to be a builder. You got to, even though I didn't listen to him soon enough about real estate. But anyway, girls get into real estate, especially here in Atlanta. Do it, all right? Just so you can support yourself, right? But my dad said, you want to go major in music? Oh, you go major in music. You want to go on the road? Okay, go on the road, and we did. We did all those things. The thing is, people say, oh, the music industry, oh, it's such a hard world. Oh, it's such a, you're probably not going to. You know what? All business is hard. Yes. It doesn't matter. Business is hard. And by the way, Christian music is business. They have to pay their bills. And churches don't. And the churches that really help artists and pay those bills for them and actually come through and say, yeah, we're gonna sign your contract. And girls, let's talk about contracts. How many of these music guys are not doing well because they don't have contracts? You know any of them?
I do know of an artist who has had delays with his project. He opened up about it on social media recently, just about the delays, because it's like you need the resources, you partner with a label that's supposed to help you do things, but then there are delays, and it's hard for them too. And I don't know if it's a contractual thing. Like, I don't know exactly what the detail of the holdup is, or I should say I just don't remember. I do think that it is challenging to not be able to complete your project or put your album out. It affects artists. Of course, it's their livelihoods. This person has a family, and it's like, okay, there's a holdup here. But I also think that if we show more support to the art, I think that more people will be willing to put money behind it.
And God can provide the money. God owns it all. We already know that, and He does. God, you have all the money. We shouldn't have to. We know you have the resources. So if you want this to happen, the bottom line is wherever God takes you, He provides, and that's true. What we want to send out to those who are other believers and student ministries and things like that is, number one, be bold in your faith. Ask for the money to come in for those bands that you want to bring to your organizations, and don't try to shortchange the bands. There's an interesting in business world, because whether it's bands, whatever it is, and so in the business world, what I've learned is that don't look for your cheapest deal. Look for your best deal and be willing to pay market price. We don't talk that way in Christianity, you know. We go, what's the cheapest thing? What can we get away with? And what bands will find out if they don't know it already is that churches will take advantage of them. They'll show up to a place, the church will go, oh, you know, we just don't have the money. What? Wait a minute. You hired me to come here. And now we spent all of our money and we don't have, you know, and so contracts are important.
Yes.
And churches need to learn, though, that, hey, find the money. Get some individual, if you can't get the church as a whole to do it, don't just say, well, by faith we'll pay you if the money comes. If you've signed a contract or you've told the band you will pay X number of dollars, be good for it. Or you may have ended a career. And by the way, I was in Nashville with the band that I was with. They'd been together for 8.5 years. I was with them for 6 months. Thought we had a break in Nashville. 2 weeks later, we lost everything that had been built for 8.5 years. Because somebody wasn't true to their word.
That's insane. I think what that is, though, is that's investing in the kingdom.
Yes.
And I think what people don't realize is that's not just thinking about your eternal soul later. It's about investing in people now also in the kingdom, because what does it look like for a church to bring a band somewhere and then not pay them? How is that showing Christ to anyone involved?
Right.
Like,
yes.
God would never do that. He would not bring you somewhere to not prepare a place before you. And you should bring someone and prepare a place before them. You should be, hospitable to them, so that if they have fans in that area who are looking for a church home, they say, hey, come here. I did a gig there. They were awesome, great people. Mm-hmm. You never know who you would bring to the table, who you are reaching out to by just being fair and kind and, investing in the people around you, investing in the people that you bring close to you. I think we don't value the relationships we have with people anymore. We value more what we look like, our standard, our brand, what, we had somebody come to our church, whoop-de-doo. But if they didn't enjoy it, then that's not a good thing. It's not a good time for anyone.
Right. Yeah, be faithful and is God big enough? Then make him big enough. Let's provide for these guys and let's do the right things. What do you have to add to that, Simone or Courtney?
Small thing is I would love to see churches be more accepting of rap as a form of worship. Mm-hmm. We did a podcast and actually also a Spotify playlist where we chose hip hop worship songs because hip hop is very, very worshipful. There are men who are rapping and they are crying out. I've had beautiful worship moments with Christ in rap, and I think that it would be great if churches accepted or realized that rap is also a place where worship takes place and where ministry happens, and it would be great if that could be incorporated. I'm not saying everybody needs to all of a sudden have just bars on a Sunday morning, but I think that there has to be a way where that can be incorporated, because the thing is, by not incorporating hip hop into the worship routine in some way, shape, or form, there's an underlying message that's being sent that's like, maybe for like a fun function, but no, it's not necessarily a part of like Christian life. And so I would like to see more incorporation of hip hop.
And culture is different. Culture matters. And so all of us don't understand the difference between hip hop and rap and hip hop, and is there a crossover with R&B and some of that? And you know that answer. So let's talk about that answer. Why are you saying hip hop and then you're saying rap, and what's the difference?
Hip hop is more of a culture and lifestyle. Rap is the physical. This is what I'm doing. I'm rapping to the beat. So they really go together. They
cross over. Yes. Some are one, some are the other. Most are both.
Yes. The reason why I say it's important for it to be incorporated is because it is also a form of storytelling and giving people, it's a testimony, It is. It's an opportunity for people to share their stories. And for me, and the way that I've experienced rap music growing up, it's been me hearing from people who don't look like me, who don't sound like me, who don't have the same experience as me, and me understanding what it's like to live life in someone else's shoes. And then me being able to, as a listener of that, as a consumer, say, wow, I've never met anybody like that. And then when I meet someone like that, it's like, I'm not assigning that story to that person, but it helps me to not look at them from a place of, oh, that all just sounds horrible, and just straight up judgment. I couldn't even begin to understand that. But it helps me to say, wait, I have a little bit more of an understanding of what that can be like, even mentally or emotionally, based on the kind of music that I've heard. And it warms me up to people that I don't know. And I think that that's important as well, because I think that's a reflection of Jesus. That's the way Jesus was. Jesus connected with people who were not like him. Accepting rap as a form of worship, I think, helps people to see different kinds of people and different facets of what walking out the word looks like.
And by the way, there's some R&B that's in there sometimes, right?
Yes.
That's like a cross of all these things. There's also island.
Oh, yes,
Right?
there is.
So let's talk island rap and hip hop as opposed to give me some bands there.
Well, first of all, I can't start this without saying that I'm originally from Kingston, Jamaica.
Are you now?
Yes.
And I was in Jamaica just a couple of years ago, not Kingston, but Montego Bay.
All right.
There you go, yeah.
Good stuff. And so we have artists like Papa San, who had been a secular artist my whole life.
Yeah.
Until I don't remember the exact year, but now he is a Christian artist.
Wow.
And you have also Mad Cobra, who his most recent album, people who are like old school-ish, older than me, reggae, they know Mad Cobra, so they know his start was far from.
Yeah.
But even he has an album, like a Christian album. I believe his most recent album was a worship album. There are reggae artists, like I said, those two, who started in the secular world and then they transitioned, and now they make music for Jesus.
Yeah. By the way, I mean, maybe it's me, girls. I don't hear Simone's Jamaican accent, do you? What happened there? Well, where did that go?
Well, we
usually people from there, and I've known people from different islands, and they don't really lose totally the accent. You have, I think.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing. This is kind of a weird thing, but if you are a child who moved to a new country, you probably get this. If not, then I guess it's just me.
Yeah.
Growing up here and going to school, my first day, everyone lined up because no one understood what I was saying. So everybody lined up taking turns, and I was like, but I'm speaking English.
Yeah.
And I think over time, being in school with kids, you just kind of learn, okay, slow down. You know, you're trying to model the way that they talk so that you can be understood. And so when I'm with my family, like this, you know, I modulate when I'm out. When I'm with my family, I'll still speak patois with my family and all of that. So it's very much so not lost. It's more so I have learned from a very young age living here that I have to slow down to be understood. And so that's just what I do, because we talk very, very, very fast.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, and we all brought up Courtney and Seretha in Atlanta. Where'd you grow up?
I was born and raised in Atlanta. I have lived there my whole life. So,
okay.
Yeah.
No, and here's the other thing I was going to tell you. Let me hear Seretha first, though. Go ahead.
Seretha's from California. I have no accent.
Oh my.
There's nothing to get rid of. This is just me.
No.
See, I only lived in Atlanta for the last 10 years. After college, I came to.
Last 10 years. Come on.
But after college, I came to. No, when you're grown, that's it. That's your accent. That's where you're at.
Right.
When I was younger, when I go visit someone, I would start to mirror their accent immediately. Like I start to hear something and I try to match it. That's kind of where that choir stuff comes in. So they start singing in your ear, you sing that. So someone starts talking, and my mom's originally from Chicago, so every once in a while my R's are a little Chicago because both my parents are from Chicago, so that's where I get that from. But more often than not, I'm from California. It's a very straight, non-accenty place. From the Bay, like Oakland, San Francisco.
Hey, come on. You like the Raiders? Is that a...
49ers. We make choices. You're born and they give you options. It's either red or black.
Oh my, yeah. I mean,
Why don't you have an accent, Courtney?
I do not know. I'm not sure, because my grandparents are from Atlanta too. Everybody is there. I'm not sure why we do not have accents. My dad has an accent, but I think, you know, with the three of us, when we are a little bit more passionate and we don't have that much control, our accents do tend to
they flow
to come out.
Yeah.
Even when we were sitting here earlier, before we were setting up, I heard Seretha's accent come out, and I was like, oh, that's so California. That is so nice. It surprises people when they find out where we're from, because we don't sound like anything. So
Exactly. So you all naturally have this stuff. And that's a big deal. And we've got even more to talk about now.
I don't think my relationship with food is healthy. My emotions are very much tied to my food. I get hangry very fast. I would say a really good place is Star Provisions. It's a really good restaurant if you like seafood, fresh seafood. It's a sandwich shop with a twist. It has the seafood there. Their shrimp po' boy is really, really good.
Oh, wow.
I love it. And also right next to Star Provisions actually is JCT Kitchen. I think, we all went there. And it's really, really good. It's a Southern style kitchen, but it's amazing. So I definitely recommend you going there. And,
Well, if y'all don't get them as sponsors, I'm getting them from me, okay? So you better work quick.
Yeah, so those are my two.
Those are you two, okay. And I'm not holding you down to two, so you don't go on.
I don't even know that I have to.
Yeah?
Because the thing is, even though I grew up in Atlanta, Southern food is still, it's not necessarily new to me, but it's still unfamiliar. I can't identify like good soul food. But so for me, I typically try to actually stick to Jamaican food. Even when I do a lot of cooking, I tend to stick to Jamaican food.
In the U.S. as well, so.
I haven't found a Jamaican barbecue place like that here. They'll have that long grill with the jerk chicken going. They have the banana leaf over it, just keeping the moisture in. It's a beautiful just experience. But food-wise, like Jamaican food, since that's what I gravitate towards, I would say best beef patties in the city, I would say are Royal Caribbean Bakery in Stone Mountain. They have an anointing for these patties. Yes, he is there because every time my family wants a patty, it's like I could send a group text to my family just like going to Royal, and somebody would just text me, bring me back too. It's like it's a language that we know. I know to what? I know exactly what you need. Sometimes I can just buy it because I know. That's how good they are. And we don't like to get patties from anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's got to be Royal, or it's like, I guess this will do.
We're talking anything, any food, because Jesus was all about eating. I mean, it seems like he's always eating,
I
Man,
agree.
knew what to
Jesus
do.
was eating on a regular basis.
On a regular basis, that's right. He might have done that
before
40-day
or after
fast, but
miracles.
he was thinking about what's on the Barbie after he got out of there. Let's go, right? Okay, Seretha, talk to me. Let's talk food. And we're going to California in a second here.
Oh,
on
my.
the food,
Okay,
but let's
so
talk Atlanta first, because you told me a few.
I did. Okay, so Pond City Market has a great food court in it.
And you girls are saying different things here. I mean, go ahead.
Well, that's because Pond City will have a lot of these options. It'll have small versions of a lot of the bigger restaurants in Atlanta, like Holcomb and Fitch has a great burger that they're known for, but they don't make it that often. It used to be a line around the door. So now the Holcomb and Finch mini that they have at Pond City has the burger all the time.
Oh my goodness.
There are lines there all the time.
What streets are they on, these places?
Pond City Market's on Ponce de Leon. Ponce de Leon.
Ponce de Leon.
Ponce de Leon.
So we know Ponce de Leon over here at St. Augustine, but yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so that street's down there in Atlanta.
Atlanta is just Ponce. It's on
just
Ponce.
Yeah.
So it's right there. It's a great spot. And then when we actually started our podcast at this place that we used to go to called Rustic Couch, it is currently not with us.
I'm about to lose them. I'm about to lose them. They're thinking food. They're about to run for it.
They said they're going to come back. And so when they come back, we will be there. It's a place that had this great melding of like Southern style, like Korean style Southern food, which you think wouldn't go together, but there's a big community of Korean people in Atlanta, and they have just decided to put their finger all up in this Southern food, and it is delicious. I mean, they make great barbecue. They have great, just everything. Bulgogi beef is blessed by heaven. It is
oh my
everything.
gosh, you're telling me stuff I don't know. I thought I knew
Bulgogi beef is a special beef. It's a special cow. I don't even understand.
Obviously, it's a spiritual cow.
It's
a God's cow. Okay.
So good.
I got only two more. So
we got to know how to get there. Remember that. So tell us.
This is actually in Dunwoody. It's outside of Atlanta, but it's close to us. So if we want something quick, we go there.
Yeah.
It is called Taqueria. Takorea. It's Korean Mexican.
Whoa.
And it is just so...
Who knew they'd get together?
I know. I know. It's the perfect thing. And it is sublime. So, if it's something that we want quick, we just go out there and get it. And Desta. Desta? It is off Briarcliff Road, located near Chambly, not too far from Dunwoody area.
Yeah.
And this is Ethiopian food, and it is really great.
Did you say Ethiopian?
Ethiopian.
I had a little wind coming through here. We're outdoors, by the way, so yeah.
Yes, it is Ethiopian food. I actually had it on Tuesday. And if you would like to be adventurous, I would encourage you to go there because it is really good. It doesn't matter what you get. Everything on the menu is just amazing. So,
now, what do you mean adventurous? Is it a little hot? Is it bland? What is it?
Well, no, I think, a lot of people in Georgia, and I just say this because I grew up there, they're not really open to new things.
Right. Other than fried chicken, you mean?
Other than fried chicken, and the standard McDonald's or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So if you go to Desta and you see that you don't use utensils to eat, that'll kind of be a turnoff for some people. But I promise you, they have Perel and hand sanitizer at each table to just calm your nerves. So you can use that, and then you can just pick up your food and eat it, and it is really good.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to California now. Okay, past the dawn, we're going across the country because I've been to San Diego, Southern Cal, a little bit up in northern area years ago. But how old are you when you left there?
18.
You were 8. Oh my goodness, you were embedded in the flavors of that area, at which it had to be culture shock to come to Atlanta and start eating there.
I went to Oklahoma first, so that was
Oklahoma.
even worse.
What part? I lived in Oklahoma 2 years.
Langston, Oklahoma.
Where is that?
Langston is outside of Oklahoma City.
Well, I lived in Edmond.
I know Edmond.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know your area. Tell me
it's
where
right next to Guthrie. So
Okay,
if you know
Guthrie. Yeah.
It's like 10 miles.
So you got, this is crazy.
I was
deep
Midwest.
Deep Midwest. That's exactly what it was. I was there 2 years, and you not only got the beef and chicken and all that, but you got Mexican came that far, and you had some crazy killer Mexican and pizzas.
Yes. Randomly.
My Pie. Was it My Pie? No.
Yeah.
Were they gone? Were they still there?
No, My Pie was still there.
Oh, my goodness. Did you like My Pie?
It's okay.
It's okay. All right.
I'm from California.
Hey, I was young. What did I know?
I was in college. I didn't have no money.
That's right. You didn't go there.
A lot of IHOP.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Where'd you go to college?
Langston University. It's the furthest west HBCU.
Okay. And then OU was there. Of course, that's what the world knows about.
OU
more.
and OSU are both there, and they are fighting like
we don't say the two in the same breath, though. You got to separate that a little bit.
OU was there.
I see some guys. I thought we were tough here in Florida.
OSU was there.
Oh my goodness.
They're on the other sides of the same state. It's a huge issue.
Well, tell me about your food in California, though, because we're going to have California listeners too. Oklahoma, you got some of us here. Okay, we already got it. All right, guys, you got good food there. We get it. But let's talk California exotic. California's exotic. We're talking about Jamaica and Korea, all this stuff in Atlanta, but California, come on.
California has all the things. I think what's interesting for me is that before food trucks were a thing, food trucks were in California, especially in the Bay.
Everything started there.
A lot of young migrant people were there. A lot of my Asian food off of food trucks, and so you were eating tacos from food trucks like somebody's
you thought they
grandma
basically
was
just came from Korea. The food trucks were in Korea, and they came over.
No, definitely. This is all Spanish food. I would come off the bar, and they'd be right there, like the ice cream man, and they're like, "Oh, food truck. I'll take 2 tacos, $5, walk home." Like that's what I would do. So I ate a lot of. I'm very particular about my Mexican food, as I find a lot of California people are, because we were raised with actual Mexicans, and so we're very particular
and you were
on
raised
what we consider.
You were raised with the Baja Mexican.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Come on, that's different, because I did Texas.
Oh, yeah, not Texas. That's different. Yeah. It's like a whole different side of Mexico.
I did the Mexican. We actually did missions work there at Rio Bravo, Reynosa, which are twin cities.
Wow.
But I went to Tecate, south of San Diego.
Oh, yeah.
Rio and Rosarito Beach. You ate some food there. So, yeah, we're talking. Okay.
Yeah,
keep
very
going.
much so. In-N-Out Burger. Best burgers in the world.
They finally made it to the East Coast. My Atlanta girl over here.
Oh, she's never had
not
them.
so much about it. You haven't had them yet?
No.
They even have those in North Carolina and down here. I don't think they do have it down here.
They don't. They're very slowly inching their way across the country, but it is slow.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
very
Atlanta's
slow.
a country. Yeah. Well, tell me. Yeah. What else did you? What
I think
What
San-
do you just remember? What do you just go? Oh man, I just got to fly back someday. They ain't got any of it here. I just got to go there and eat some of this.
I don't think there's anything in particular that I'm really. I mean, great Chinese food. Because I know an actual family that will feed me Filipino food. I feel like Filipinos are only in California. I've met so few.
I think they are. I know one
Outside.
Filipino doctor of North Carolina, but I never eat the food.
They're so few, and I actually grew up with like one of my best friends was Filipino. I used to go to his house, and she would make me an egg roll that's just like theirs. It's lumpia, so it's not Chinese egg roll. It's a Filipino egg roll, and it was everything. And I only find Filipino food in California, so that may be the one thing. If I knew for sure that was happening, I would go. And there's Hawaiian food, so you guys get that real roasted.
Yeah, I don't think we do Hawaiian over here on the East Coast, do we?
What is up?
Girls? I'm moving.
Like no one has a pit in their backyard where they can just bury a pig and make that happen for you.
We've done some of the burying the pig stuff, though.
That's everything.
So that must be close to the Hawaiian feel.
It is. That's
we've
how they
done
do
that.
it.
Oh, yeah.
They bury that pig and let that thing slow roast.
No.
It comes out. It's amazing.
Okay, this has just turned into the Food Network podcast,
My bad. I'm
But
sorry.
no, not at all. I think everybody that's in student ministry, we think food all the time. And we do the worst foods. And
Yeah, there's a lot of pizza involved in
yeah.
youth ministry.
And the second pizza I ever had was in San Jose, California. I was 15, by the way, and shrimp on pizza.
Yeah,
what was
we
that?
like putting some
barely knew
exotic
pizza,
stuff on there.
And all of a sudden I'm eating
love
shrimp
it.
on pizza.
I know you do.
Yeah.
They look at me crazy because I put pineapple on my pizza, and they're just like, "Why?"
I still fight with that a little bit, but
I know you
had
guys
some
don't
on
like
some
fruit
last
on
night.
pizza.
I ate at BJ's last. Yeah.
I do not like cooked fruit. I feel like every time, especially being from an island, which is why a lot of times
I know, right?
with island restaurants, it's like, why do you guys keep trying to cook real, fresh fruit and give it to me? People do this to me all the time. I'll go to Jamaican restaurants and they're like, with a mango salsa. And I'm like,
Courtney's not for it either.
no, I want my fruit just fresh, and that is it. And no cooked.
Oh, listen, I
please.
do remember the palm trees and all the fresh fruit and stuff down in Montego Bay. So I get you. Tell me how we can all get in touch with you, because we no longer just have to worry about hip hop and rap and island music. Now we have to concern ourselves with you with all the best food. So we know that you have a second podcast coming out called the International Food Network Podcast, and Clean Eating. That's what we'll call it, or something like that, right?
Clean
ears,
plates.
clean food. So clean.
Nobody
plates.
steal that.
Yeah,
I'm
nobody
trusting
could.
that you all are upstanding people.
That's right. You're going to get it tonight. You're getting the domain tonight. Remember, you got to get it before I do. I might run
my
for
goodness.
it. I don't know. I can put you under the gun. So tell us how we can get in touch with you.
You can check out our website, www.cleanearsshow.com, if you would like to find our podcast and listen. We talk about plenty of other things too, other than food, even though food actually does come up a bit.
Oh, there you go.
And
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yes. And you can check out our playlist on Spotify. Again, that's clean_ears_podcast to get to the music. And we are very active on our medias. So at Clean Ears on Instagram, at Clean_Ears on Twitter. And talk to us. We'll talk to you. We're always talking anyway, so talk back.
Yeah.
Clean Ears Show on YouTube. That way you can see our faces, because we have done food challenges on.
Yeah, and you girls are adorable. They do want to see you. That's right. Look at that. They want to see you on YouTube, because y'all are great personalities, every one of you. Even the producer, they're going to let you on. They let you on YouTube at all. They show
Sometimes.
your cameo. What? You're going to probably have to start letting her announce after this. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes I have to write myself in for the YouTube videos.
Oh, yeah. You control. You're in control.
Yes, because they won't.
Because they won't.
But yes, guys, we are on YouTube at Clean Ear Show. We post our videos every Friday. That's weekly. Our podcast, we post that every Tuesday, weekly.
Now, what times? Do you have times? You know, we're talking here at the Podfest about, it comes on at this time. Do you have a time you upload?
So for the podcast, by the time you wake up, it should already be on the app. We also have our collective. Yes, the collective posts every Thursday. This is people who submit content. If you want to, you can send that to us. Writing content. The collective is our blog. So if you have content that you want to share, send it to WIYH@cleanearshow.com. And last thing, we also have a prayer corner on our website. And these prayers are different topics. They're pre-recorded by people we know. And if you need prayer encouragement, you can go there.
I'm going to challenge you girls, since you brought that up. This is awesome. Last year, a year ago in January, one of my friends, Fellowship Christian Athletes guy, and we're doing another business together right now, but he said, Doug, his wife Debbie, he said, she and I want you to do this 40-day prayer challenge. Well, if you haven't heard of Mark Batterson, I'll challenge you to start reading Mark Batterson's stuff. He wrote The Circle Maker, but he wrote for his church, Draw the Circle, a 40-day prayer challenge.
Oh, yeah.
And it is amazing. I just finished my 7th one. I didn't think I'd finish the first one. 40 days? I'm a youth pastor. I'm ADD. How do you finish 40 days anything, right? Jesus obviously was not ADD. So this is such a treat for me to be with you girls today. Keep dreaming big. This is big, what you're doing already. And then let's see what God does. Youth Worker Nation, we're out. Say goodbye, Youth Worker Nation. Go, all three of you go into that mic at one time. Go, bye, Youth Worker Nation.
Bye, Youth Worker Nation.
And Youth Worker Nation, we're out. Youth Worker on Fire. And you can find us on social media. We're out.
You've been listening to the Youth Worker on Fire podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and tell your friends. Also, leave a comment and tell us what you think. Stay tuned for more informative episodes.